Can I just jump right in it and tell you a couple that I'm going to assign? This is the way we used them, and I'm going to ask you to consider using them exactly the same way. In fact, it's very imperative, I think, for you to do that, to follow the principle of church growth that we're imparting. You see, here is our soul winning. We're feeding. Over here, let me use this great ministry that I love, Sunday school. Sunday school. Now, that was a good friend of mine who does national reporting on Sunday schools. And he defined the Sunday school this way. He said the Sunday school is the reaching, keeping arm of the church. I looked at him, I said, have you made your mind up yet? What do you mean? And we talked about that for a minute. Wait a minute. I'm going to get a Sunday school teacher to stand up, and I'm going to stand him on a platform and say, sir, lady, it's your job to reach the whole city and keep the whole city. Now, there are some churches that use the Sunday school primarily as a reaching ministry. That's okay, as long as they understand the function they want it to handle. But also, it's very imperative that we understand that the Sunday school can be a keeping, which is what I'm going to suggest. See, in the churches I pastored, I really did not need the feeder. You'll understand that in just a moment. We're going to feed numbers of people into the church. We're going to talk about how to do that. In fact, the whole Soul Winning Directors Institute is just geared at one thing, developing a leader who can train your people to just feed people into the church. That's a very important function. But wait a minute, the Sunday school director, the major function of this Sunday school director is to build the structure and create the people that exercise a function to keep the people we win. First church I pastored, I didn't have any trouble with big days. We'd hit 1,000, then we'd hit 2,000. One Sunday we broke 4,000. But I'll tell you, the thing that was so hard for me at that point, I said, you know, I didn't tell anybody else, I was positive. You always have the people that come along, where are they? You won so many to Christ, where are they? And I just, you know, I had the positive statements, but by myself, I began to ask myself the question. I began to pray about it, and I said, hey, I'm not keeping the amount of people I ought to be keeping. I did not understand what I'm going to impart with you about the whole business of being a Sunday school director. I did not understand the importance of this. So watch this. We've got the reaching, we've got the feeder over here, we've got the image where we put the image of Jesus Christ, and we've got the keeper. If we've got people that are trained and ministries that are put into that area, then our people can understand what to do. I'd like to jump from these two sides to the center and give an illustration, if I may. Normally, we get the choir up and the choir off to sing. And let's say we've got a rule, and we say, no chewing chewing gum. Our normal way of handling it is this. Somebody chews chewing gum, we look right at them and say, I told you not to chew chewing gum. You do not chew chewing gum in this church. Let's make sure that's clear. If you're going to chew chewing gum, you cannot sing in this church. You know, that's sort of how we handle it. Not too good. Don't you think it'd be a whole lot better to say, choir, listen, when you're sitting in the choir loft, when you're singing, you're putting the image of Jesus Christ on the people that are watching your ministry. When you chew chewing gum, what does it communicate to them about the gospel? When the preacher preaches, you need a Bible in your hand. If you do not have a Bible and don't open your Bible to an unsaved person that's visiting, the Bible doesn't seem important. When the preacher tells a joke and you've heard it before, laugh at it anyway. It's very, very important to do that. Now, I think when we begin to see that, we begin to see the importance of training people in the ministry for the function that they ought to be doing for Jesus Christ. In fact, we put a big poster on the back of our wall once in a while, and on that poster, the choir would sing it when they come out, and it said this, sing your song carefully, it may save a soul from hell. We wanted our people to understand what their function was, what they were doing. And that's a very important thing, I think, for us as leaders to begin to understand. Now, let's briefly jump over here to this area that I call the feeder. Let's talk about the Soul Winning Director. Let's talk about the Soul Winning Director Institute. Let's talk about training soul winners. As I begun to tell you the story a moment ago, when we went to Michigan, I started 32 people one Sunday morning. That night, I knew what I was going to do. I'll show you why in a moment. But I knew what I was going to do. And I got 2 men. I said, men, meet with me tonight. Let's have a cup of coffee. And I made a commitment to them. I said, listen, if you will meet with me 2 hours every week for the next 13 weeks, I will train you to be as good a soul winner as 98% of the preachers in America. And they said, boy, we'd love to do it. I said, now listen, you need to go out on visitation with me 3 to 4 hours a week. I'll take you out Monday night. I'll take you out Thursday night. I said, in addition to that, you need to be there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Be there when the church doors are open. Be faithful. Want the power of God upon your life. I'm going to sign some verses. I'm going to give some curriculum, some reading, and some tapes to listen to. You're going to memorize a 13-point plan. You'll know it so well. You'll know it backwards and forward. Listen, we started. And we started was me. Now watch, me plus 2. Me plus 2. What happened is this. After 13 weeks, we had won people to Christ. Some came to church and made it public. I brought these 2 men to the platform, and I graduated them. From where they were trainees to now they became trainers. And I said, how many of you would like to have the same kind of training they've had? I had 16 people that wanted to be trained. I could only take 3 because each one needed a trainer. So I picked 3 men, brought my wife in, excellent soul winner, 1 lady. Now we had 8. At the end of 6 months, we had 8 proficient soul winners. Then we went back to the church when we graduated them. How many of you like training? I now had over 30 that wanted to be trained. I could only take 8. When the church was 9 months old, 16. When the church was 1 year old, 32 trained soul winners. Watch the potential of the second year, 64, 128, 256, 512. We really did not do very well. When the church was 2 years old, we had only trained 192 soul winners. In 3 years, those soul winners that we had trained had won nearly 5,000 people to Christ. No wonder on our 3rd anniversary, we were able to hit nearly 2,000 in attendance, and that was our first Sunday in our brand new building. Why? Because we had a group of people that were trained. Now, here is the simplicity of all that we're going to teach. When you can fill 3 blanks in and accomplish those 3 blanks, you're going to build a great church. Whether you presently pastor a church, whether you're going to start a church, when we can fill these 3 blanks in, here it is, watch, blank, time blank, time blank. When I went to Grand Rapids, Michigan, I understood the principle that I'm teaching you right now. I understood this. I understood how it would work. And I filled the blanks in. I'm going to give you the numbers I filled in. Watch. First blank, 40. 40 times, second blank, 40. Times, third blank, 2. So my blanks, when I went to town, all I wanted to do when I started that church, in 2 years, that's the third blank, give yourself 2 years. That's the reason you hear me say that if you'll follow the principles that we teach, that we believe it'll double your church and your income in 2 years. It has every potential to do that. Many have experienced it. It's been exciting. But you got to fill the first blank in and accomplish it. Fill the second blank in and accomplish it. What's the first blank? Here's the definition. I wanted 40, watch. I wanted to recruit, train, and motivate 40 producing soul winners. I wanted to recruit, train, and motivate 40 producing soul winners. Also, blank number 2, I wanted to recruit, train, and motivate. Notice the same words. It's very simple. The same process is used in all of the people that we gather together and all that we do. I wanted to recruit, train, and motivate 40 producing Sunday school workers. Now, I have given you the story of what happened over here. I wanted to train 40. In 2 years, we trained 192. 192. We just busted that one wide open. I really didn't understand the tremendous potential of the multiplication factor of it. Were I to start a church today, or could I take an existing church? Maybe if I were to come in and do an analysis of your church and look at the structure of what was there internally, I might say, hey, my goal in 2 years is 150, or my goal is 140, or my goal is 200. The wonderful thing about your soul winning director is he is going to be able to set a goal for 2 years. And he's going to have the training and the recruitment and the motivation. It's all contained, all of it together, so that it's easy to do. I don't mean it doesn't take work. It takes work, it takes sweat, it takes tears, it takes commitment, it takes prayer. But I'll tell you what, it works when we do it. This man, this institute graduate, this soul winning director is going to be able to produce these people for your ministry.